You've seen the photos. A massive cruise ship at sunset. 15 decks of glass and steel, lit up like a floating city. On the top deck, there's a party. Music, a pool, people in swimsuits with drinks in their hands, watching the ocean roll by. Now look down, not at the water, at the ship itself. Follow it down, deck by deck, past the staterooms, past the theaters, past the waterline where the ocean actually presses against the steel, and keep going. Because down there, in a room with no window, a woman is asleep in a bunk bed she shares with a stranger. She's been on this ship for 6 months. She has 3 more to go. And here's the thing almost nobody stops to consider. She isn't trapped. She has options on land. Nobody chained her to that bunk. That choice, to live in a windowless metal box below the surface of the ocean for the better part of a year, isn't desperation. For a lot of these workers, it's the smartest financial move they'll ever make. There are 3 layers to this story. The first explains why they're down there at all. The second reveals the hidden world that keeps it running, a place thousands of passengers walk right over and never know exists. And the third is something almost nobody expects. Why so many of them come back and do it again and again and again. By the end of this video, you'll never look at a cruise ship the same way. So let's start with the obvious question. Why below the waterline? It seems almost cruel. 12 decks of ocean view luxury sitting empty on a port day, and the people who make the whole thing run are packed into the basement with no daylight. Most people assume it's just cost-cutting. Squeeze the workers, sell the views. But that's not really it. The real reasons are structural, and once you understand them, the whole layout of the ship makes sense. Start with physics. A cruise ship is basically a floating skyscraper, and a skyscraper laid on its side has a serious balance problem. To keep a vessel that tall from rolling over in heavy seas, the heaviest, densest things have to sit as low as possible. Engines, fuel, water tanks, ballast. All of it lives on the bottom decks, right down near the keel. That's the part of the ship that almost never moves. And the crew live tucked right in among it, because that's where the space is. The second reason is the passengers themselves. Every square foot with a window is worth money. A balcony stateroom can sell for 2 or 3 times the price of an interior cabin, purely because of the view. So the cruise line does the math that any business would. The decks that can be sold, get sold. The decks that can't, the ones below the waterline where a window would just look into black water, become crew quarters. It's not personal, it's real estate. And the third reason is the one nobody thinks about. Watertight design. The lowest decks of a modern ship are divided into sealed compartments built to contain flooding if the hull is ever breached. That's the whole reason those decks exist the way they do. So the crew aren't just living in the basement, they're living inside the part of the ship engineered to keep everyone above them alive. But here's where it gets interesting. Because down there, below the waterline, is not just a row of bunk beds. It's an entire second ship hidden inside the first one. And most passengers spend a whole week on board without ever seeing a single piece of it. Walk through a door marked Crew Only, and you step out of the vacation and into a working city. The spine of that city has a name. On most ships, it's called the I-95. It's a long, wide corridor that runs the entire length of the vessel, from bow to stern, usually right around the waterline. Crew named it after Interstate 95, the highway that runs the whole East Coast, because that's exactly what it feels like. The main road, buzzing with foot traffic, stacked with supply carts, notice boards lining the walls with schedules and safety drills and shift rotations. It is the busiest street on the ship, and no passenger is ever supposed to see it. Branch off the I-95, and you find everything a small town needs. There's a crew mess, a cafeteria that runs from before sunrise to past midnight, serving food from all over the world because the crew comes from all over the world. There's a separate mess for officers with slightly nicer tables. There's a crew bar, which after midnight becomes the most alive place on the entire ship. There's a crew gym. On some of the bigger vessels, there's a crew-only pool and a stretch of open deck where off-duty workers can actually see the sky. There are shops, offices, a payroll window, even a crew store. It is, in every sense, a town. One that happens to be floating in the middle of the ocean with a luxury resort stacked on top of it. And it's tight. The typical crew cabin is around 9 feet by 9 feet, shared by 2 people, sometimes 4. Bunk beds, a small desk, 1 shared bathroom, ceiling so low that in some cabins only 1 person can stand up and get dressed at a time while everyone else waits their turn in their bunk. There's a running joke among crew that your suitcase is prime real estate because it lives under the bed and there's nowhere else to put it. Crew stick photos and fairy lights on the walls. The walls are steel, so magnets work better than tape. And in a room with no window, some of them flip the TV to the ship's bridge camera channel just to have something that looks like a view. Now, I'm not going to pretend it's easy, because this is the part that separates the people who last from the people who quit. The work is relentless. Most crew are on contracts of 6 to 9 months, and for that entire stretch, they work 7 days a week. 10, 12, sometimes 14 hours a day. No weekends, no days off. Not one, for months. When the ship is in port and passengers pour off to see the sights, a lot of the crew stay on board and keep working, because the ship still has to be cleaned, restocked, and reset before the next wave of guests arrives. Then there's the isolation. No window means no sense of day or night in your own room. The internet at sea is slow and expensive. You miss birthdays, you miss holidays. You watch your friendships form fast and then evaporate just as fast, because someone's contract ends and they fly home and you may never sail with them again. It is genuinely hard, and the cruise lines know it. First-timers get a probation period, and a lot of people don't make it past their first contract. So here's the real question. If it's that hard, why do so many of them keep coming back? And the answer is the third layer, the part almost nobody on the passenger decks ever understands. Start with the money, because the money is the whole engine. On paper, cruise wages can look low. An entry-level service worker might have a base salary of only a few hundred to around $1,500 a month, but that number is deeply misleading for one simple reason. On board, you spend almost nothing. Your cabin is free. Every meal is free. There's no rent, no commute, no utilities, no groceries, no nights out costing you a paycheck. Whatever you earn, you keep. And in the tipped positions, waiters, bartenders, cabin stewards on a fully booked megaship, tips can make up 30 to 50% of total income and push real take-home pay to a few $1,000s a month. Now put that in context. Most cruise crew come from the Philippines, Indonesia, India, Eastern Europe, and Latin America. For a worker from those countries, a job that lets you save almost your entire income for 8 straight months can pay several times what the same job pays back home. One contract can build a house. It can put siblings through school. It can start a business. That windowless cabin below the waterline isn't a trap. It's a savings account with an ocean view on the channel. But if it were only about money, people would grit their teeth, do one contract, and never look back. That's not what happens. Ask crew who've done it for years why they stay, and the money is almost never the first thing they say. They talk about waking up off the coast of Greece and going to sleep near Montenegro. They talk about setting foot on continents they never dreamed they'd see, on the company's dime. And more than anything, they talk about the people. When you live and work and eat and unwind with the same few hundred people, sealed together in a little steel town moving across the planet, something happens that doesn't happen in a normal job. Your roommate becomes family. The crew bar becomes home. The friendships that survive the contract cycle become the closest ones some of these workers will ever have. That's the thing the passengers on the top deck never see. They look down at those crew-only doors and picture drudgery. But behind them is a whole hidden world with its own highway, its own town, its own economy, and its own strange, tight-knit kind of joy. So the next time you're on a cruise, sipping something cold on the top deck at sunset, remember there's a second ship beneath your feet. And a lot of the people down there aren't dreaming about your view. They're exactly where they chose to be. Now I want to hear from you. If you've ever worked on a cruise ship, what surprised you most about life below deck? And if you've only ever been a passenger, would you trade a week of the view for a contract with the crew? Drop it in the comments. If you learned something today, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.